गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So this brings us to the point where the teacher is telling the Ramchandra ji that there are 4 gatekeepers to the sanctum sanctorium. And what are they? मोक्षद्वारे द्वारपालाः चत्वार परिकीर्तिताः शमो विचारः संतोषः चतुर्थ साधु संगमः. So these are the 4 gatekeepers. They are who are what happens? See, when the Sanat Kumaras they went to the Vaikuntha, the gatekeepers Jai Vijay were there. You have to please them in order to enter into the sanctum sanctorium. They put the spear out. No entry. You can't go in. You have to befriend them. You have to please them. And who are these? The first one is here. The first is quietude of mind. It is quietude of mind. Enquiry, meaning spirit of enquiry. And then contentment, santosha, the words were, shama is the quietude of mind, vichara is the spirit of inquiry, santosha is contentment, and sadhu sangama is that association of the wise people. Wise meaning not who can like a parrot tell you everything in the scriptures. Wise people are those who are committed to realization, who are of a purified mind, who are seeking self-realization. And in this way, so let's see what are these 4. First is quietude of mind. This quietude of mind when we are living in this world, we all want peace of mind. But what have we done consciously to cultivate the peace of mind? While eating food, we are watching war movies or horror movies. Like it or not, impressions are going in. And then in the dream, the same images in some other format are expressing themselves. And when something scary happens in that movie, you react to it with such intensity that your hair stand on end. Imagine what impression you are creating for yourself, what vasana you are creating for yourself. Then in your waking plane, that was just a movie which got you this. Now when you are going, the door goes and your hair stand up. You think there's a ghost? So we have sabotaged our own peace of mind by our own habits. Can't blame anyone else. So we have to be very, very careful. And whether someone is insulting us, whether our wishes are unfulfilled, whether someone has provoked us, we should remain undisturbed, not allowing our mind to react in any way. This requires strength. See? It will not happen straight away. It is a constant development of your strength. First day, you decide, today I am not going to get angry. And at the end of the day, you realize, hey, 5 times I lost temper. Next day, again, I am not going to get angry. Next day, maybe 3 times. So it's already a progress. First day, I am not going to compare with anyone. I am not going to compete with anyone. And when at the time introspect, detect, negate, you do that and you find, arey yaar, so many places I did that knowingly and unknowingly. I must be more alert next time. Next day, you remember, you compare, but while comparing, you remember suddenly on the way that, oh, I'm comparing. You stop. And after a few days, slowly, slowly, that habit becomes weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. So so even he who, even in face of greatest adversities, greatest obstacles, greatest problems, remains like a rock, undisturbed. That quietness, quietude of mind we require. Then second is, this is called Atma Bala, self-control, Atma Bala. It does not come. You can initiate it through pranayam, etc. But the true Atma Bala, inner strength to face the challenges, the perseverance, the dhairya that is required, all that comes only from remembering the divine within us. Second is spirit of inquiry. And this spirit of inquiry is about that our inquiry is what? Array, how did the pasta salad was made? What ingredients went into making pasta salad is our inquiry. What are the different types of biscuits is our inquiry. Do you take Nescafe or Tetley tea or hot chocolate is our inquiry. This is not going to take you anywhere. Have you ever inquired how the mind works? Have you inquired that what am I miserable about? If masters and teachers and scriptures say there is nothing to be miserable about, then why am I feeling the misery? Have you thought any of the questions that Ramchandraji asked in your own free time without being prompted by anyone? Have you? I'm not saying you have or you have not. I'm putting it in front. If we have, then good. See? So, spirit of inquiry is when we are able to apply our intellect in subtle discrimination. See? Not only keep thinking about the world. There is something else other than this world also. There is something else other than this name and form also. That X factor whom we call God or spirit or consciousness, have you ever thought about it? Which is so immediate to you, but you have never thought, but you feel that you have not experienced it. Have you spent, like here, we have spent now morning till now, we have been, everything that we are doing is directing our mind towards that spirit, towards that consciousness. In your own free time, by yourself, have you been able to continuously sit and contemplate on this theme of the self? Even though you cannot think about it, but have you kept that theme in the mind and stayed with it without distraction for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? See? So, the worthy questions to inquire are, who am I? Where I have come from? Where am I going? What is my destination? What is my essential nature? What is this world? Who is this Lord? Who is this Jiva that I feel that I am? Huh? What is the relationship between God, Jiva and the world, the Jagat? And in this way we inquire. For a discontented mind, there will be always of wanting more and more and more to fill it. It will want more and more books. It will want more and more Mahatmas. It will want more and more information from all sources. Why? Because it's discontent. It is discontent. Discontented. then how will this mind feel it has reached contentment? Only when it comes to realize that running after everything I have already done. I have run after the world, I have run after the woman, I have run after the wealth, I have run after realization, I have run after the controlling of senses, I have run after controlling the mind. I have done so many things, but what is the result after so many years? One distraction and I am already lost. Enough of running around now. Enough of running around. No more. Some people are there. One couple I know. They said enough of it. The son got married. He had a child, and husband and wife both are in IT in India. Busy life, 12, 13 hours of work. One child. Mom, can you take care of the child? First few days it was okay. She said, Beta, child, I am here to help you. But I think from next month it might not be possible. You will have to make some arrangement to take care of your child. Why? Oh, we have decided to sell this house and we are going to Vrindavan to stay. Why you are going to Vrindavan? What will happen to my life? What will happen to my child? You are my support. How will I live my life? How did I live my life? When you were young, I had no support. I worked myself. I found some ayah, some person to come and help at home. I put you in creche or daycare. Yes, it cost me. You earn much more than what I used to earn. So you find your solutions for your life. I had done my bit, that mother told. I had done my bit. I had taken care of you. I had given you education. You got a good job. I am not a child minder for the rest of my life. My goal is the Lord. Now you live your life. You are welcome to come 2-3 days, but no longer. No longer. We have got only 1-bedroom apartment there. You come, you spend the 2-3 days, enjoy, allow us to have the company of our grandchild, but after that, you go back. But what about me? What about you? You have to live your life. Someone has to tell. Someone has to tell. That lady has made the right decision. Enough. When she says enough, then alone there is an empty space available in the heart for the Lord to express. For the Lord to say, okay, now she has become empty, let me enter there, because this is a free space. But if that heart space is already full of grandchild, child, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, etc., etc., where is the place? Oh, it's too cluttered. Where will I put my foot here? The Lord says, no place. Okay, let's go somewhere else. So contentment comes when there is enough, when this feeling of enoughness, that I have whatever it's required to be had. Some people keep trying and trying and trying to start a business, but they are not a business person. They are not a business person. Some people try to work as an employee because they don't want the responsibilities of a business, but they are not an employee. They can never be an employee, like me. For some time, yes, but not permanently. See? Always looking for a way out. How can I escape from here? Because the world is too large to be stuck in one place. I want to own the world. See? For that, courage is required. But that courage is courage to say that enough is enough. I'm not going to run after anything. Whatever is required is already available. And that is the truth. Whatever is required by you in your sadhana, in your journey, is already available for you at this very moment. But are you available to it? That's the next question. And in this way, there is an example I gave. Uh, there was a small child who was hungry, and he was asking, please give me some money, please. Beggar on the street, give me money. So many rich people were going by, business people, working people, all have money in their pocket. But not one person was giving the money to that small child who was crying out of hunger. Then there was a beggar just few yards down, and somehow he got the 5 rupees in his bowl of begging bowl. He immediately took that 5 rupees and gave it to that child to appease his hunger. See? How did that action come about in him? Because he felt, I have enough. I still have life. I can understand. But this child cannot understand. Let me satisfy his desire first. See? When this contentment comes, you become what you call, you start, the seva bhav automatically starts. Because enough is enough. And in this way, the spiritual progress in our life begins with the first step of contentment. Otherwise, the mind will become extrovert to fill its empty chambers. But when you say it is enough, then it moves inwards towards the self. And the last one is the sadhu sangamaha, the association of the good. Satsangatve, nissangatvam, nissangatve, nirmohatvam. So satsang ki mahima. What is the greatness of satsang? That by being in satsang, by being with wise people, we are able to remove our delusions, remove our entrapments, and come to have a pure mind. And in this way, the satsanga, in satsang, we are made to face all our fears. In satsang, we are made to look at ourselves as we are. In satsang, we are prodded to enlarge our vision. Our vision at this moment is only this body I am. Any true satsang will ask you to enlarge your vision, not remain in the teeny-meeny identification. And in this way, satsang, it gives clarity. Satsang is the light on the journey to self-realization. Because if you are not continuously in association with wise people, very quickly the world will trap you and you will lose the way. And in this way, so satsang is the best companion. So here in Yoga Vashishta it is said, contentment is the supreme gain, satsanga is the best companion to the destination, spirit of inquiry is the greatest wisdom, and self-control is supreme happiness. 4 things. And this way we cultivate it in our life and come to begin our journey to the self. Contentment also, one thing I remember is, with contentment, all the cravings that are there, they stop. Craving for food, craving for cigarettes, craving for opposite sex, craving for the world, craving for relationships, craving for something or the other, craving is always welling up within us, isn't it? Craving for tea after food. We have habits, or some people drink coffee, or some people eat the aniseed afterwards, supari, betel nut. Otherwise, the meal is not complete, if I don't have the betel nut after the food. All these are cravings. Some people throughout the match or we all have been guilty. We always want a chocolate in our mouth, like a cow. Keep chewing. Chiclet is that chewing gum. Chewing gum. Chiclet, it used to be called chiclet once upon a time. I'm coming from that age. Look young, but I'm from that age. That era. So in this way, with self-control, with spirit of inquiry, with contentment of mind, and with the association with the wise, we enter into the third chapter, the knowledge of the self. Here, in the previous, these were the preparatory steps, where the teacher said, cultivate these qualities and you will be ready for the knowledge. Our situation is different. We have the knowledge, we think, without doing the preparatory steps. And then we complain, I know everything, but then why am I not getting the experience? I know everything, but Swamiji, it is very difficult. Why? Preparatory steps have not been put into practice. You are not applied to them. Peace of mind is not something that you can create. You create the right environment, peace of mind happens. Witnessing is not something that you create. You create the right environment, witnessing happens. Realization is not something that you create. You create the right environment, realization happens, or meditation happens, or samadhi happens. See? Our cry is that I know everything. So majority of us who are feeling in this way, why should I say yes, I am not included in that. No, majority of us seekers who are having answers to every question in our mind, but are unable to abide in that answer, unable to abide in that consciousness, is because we have not done the preparatory steps.
What about faith, trust and love?
Yeah, of course, that we have already said.
That's all
Yes. How will you have spirit of inquiry? If it becomes only dry inquiry, it will lead to an arrogance. If you have faith and surrender, then it will stop you from becoming arrogant when you do the inquiry, isn't it? It is not your experience that contentment will is a good thing. But because you have faith that the scriptures are saying, and your observation of life is also telling you that if you cultivate these, then it will lead to a mindset where knowledge can take place, isn't it? It's faith only. Nothing without faith can function in this world. You have come here also because of faith. So efforts married with faith will lead you in the right direction. So here, after these steps of self-improvement and preparing ourselves, the essence of the teachings is being told. This chapter covers more or less the sthiti, the creation, the maintenance and the destruction of the world, and how we must approach it. So here, Vashishta uvacha bandhasya tavat rupam tvam katyamanamedam shrunu tatah swarupam mokshasya nyasyasi tvamasanshayam. He says, Sage Vashishta says, now listen to the nature of bondage that is being described. Then you will understand without any doubt the nature of liberation. Why do we need to know the nature of bondage? Why can't we just think about the nature of liberation? Why can't we just talk about the truth? Why do we have to know about untruth? Why can't we talk only about the spirit? Just now you were saying, put your attention on the spirit. Now suddenly you are taking opposite position. Now let's think about that which is not the spirit. Why? So that... No, but we will be speaking. We are speaking continuously. Correct. We need to know what is not the spirit, what is not the consciousness, what is the untruth, so that we don't get caught up in it. When you start a business, you see pros and cons, isn't it? Cons also you see. So that if they start expressing, suppose takings are less than expenses, it's a sign your business is losing. But if you say, nahi, sab chalta hai, then one day suddenly it will be too much for you to handle. Somewhere I was just now, same thing has happened. Can't remember, blank now. So we need to know what are the possible avenues which can distract us, which can take us away from our path. What are they? They have to be enumerated. Then we know what the truth is, at least intellectually. Truth is, as she said, which cannot be spoken of. If it cannot be spoken of, then where are you stuck? Then where are you stuck? So what is that arena in which our mind gets stuck or we get stuck? That needs to be known, so that information is power. And once you have the information of those possible avenues, then we can be alert, we can be aware not to slip into those various avenues. So here, Vashishta says, listen carefully, O Rama. Most of us do not feel that we are bound, since we think we have the freedom to speak and act as we like. Just because we can do what we like, we have a bit of moolah in our pocket, because we have the freedom. The government also supports freedom of individual rights. Just because that small, not now, nowadays it is difficult, but till 10 years ago, 12 years ago, once you turned 16, you could leave your parents. Government will give you money. Now they don't. So they are complaining, all the youth, teenagers. This is not fair, this is unfair. But what was fair? By leaving home, government is supporting you because freedom. I'll sue my own parents because they are troubling me, even if they are not troubling me. Then the government will give me money, I will go on the streets. This is freedom. I could live under he's a sadhu, living under the sky, under the bridge, by the river, along the Yara. This is how yogis also live. So has he become a yogi? No. That is licentious behavior. It is coming out of incorrect understanding. It is only temporary joy that he is seeking, but afterwards he is destroying his future by those actions. Isn't it? And then they get into drugs, then they get into drinks, into wrong company. But this is how we feel. We feel that that we are not bound, we are not in bondage. Why? I have my wife, I have my children, I have my house, I have my business, I have my cars, I have my millions of dollars in the bank account. What is their bondage? Buddhu, these are the bondages. Stupid, these are the bondages. Relations, wealth, body, good thoughts or bad thoughts, relationships, all these are bondages. But we think no. Because why? How do we How do we determine whether these are bondage or not? How do we come to realize something is bondage? Do you think spirit is bondage? Tell the truth.
No, it's freeing.
Is it?
Frees you from
Is spirit bondage or not a bondage?
when the mind's obsessed with it, it's a bondage.
Ah! As long as it is a concept of the mind, it is bondage. Good one. As long as it is a thought in the mind, it is bondage. Isn't it? And as long as it is a thought in the mind, the pining will be there, the crying will be there, the separation will be there, the pain will be there. All this is sorrow, isn't it? So bondage expresses in our life as sorrow. Find out what is the source of sorrow. Wife, husband, children, world, house, car, past, future. If you start, be truthful to yourself. Everything that you can jot down will be a source of sorrow. Everything. But bacha kya? When everything has been, then drop it. It is this bondage, it is this feeling that I am not bound, that I am happy in this world with all the goodies around, is the source of stress, is the source of tension, is the source of anxiety, is the source of sorrow, is the source of agitation, frustration, depression, suicide. And we all know someone or the other who has gone through that. We have advised them not to go into that mode of thinking. But then we find ourselves doing exactly the same. Isn't it? So the more your attention is on the world, all these expressions that I just used, stress, strain, tension, etc., this will come to you. If you even think of one single object, all these will come with it. It is in its womb. It cannot give you the happiness that you are seeking. And what is then liberation? Liberation is freedom from this bondage. If you want the freedom from this bondage, then you will have to think differently. See? And come to recognize what your essential nature is. And the moment you become free from this, see, a child is playing in our house, whole day is in the house. Whole day mummy saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't touch that, don't break the glass, don't play with the glass, don't knock on the glass. Then he goes and brings the ball. Hey, don't bounce the ball, something will break. Then he goes and brings the car. Hey, don't play with the car on the dining table, the glass will break. Then he starts jumping on the chair. Don't jump on the chair will break. Hey, yaar, the child, 3-year-old, he starts thinking, what can I do then? Everything that I do, this is a jail, you know. I need to be free from this. And then mummy says, or daddy comes by that time. He says, Sonny boy, come on. Have you got your shoes on? Yes, Papa. Okay, let's go to the mall. Freedom. Now mummy is not going to say anything. Isn't it? You see these children in school, whole day they are in the school. When they come from the school, what is their feeling? All of them, when they are going to the school, crying. But when they are coming out of the school, they are all jumping. Why? Freedom. So when you become free of sorrows, tensions, strains, depression, agitation, automatic, spontaneous, ha, who, then the tears will start flowing, the spontaneous joy will express through you. Not because of something, but it is just there. And the smile is the child, ear, eye to eye, or ear to ear. And it's aching. Oh, when? Untold joy. The following verse defines bondage and liberation uniquely. Drashtur drushyasya sattahi bandha ityabhidhiyate drashta drishyavashad baddho drishyabhave vimuchyate. The existence of the seer and the seen is indeed called bondage. The seer is bound by the influence of the seen and is liberated by the absence of the seen. In one, Yoga Vashishta is taking a different approach. Similar but in different words. What is the bondage? Where there is duality, there is bondage. Where there is opposites, there is bondage. Where there is differences, there is bondage. Where there is sense of otherness, there is bondage. Where there is subject and object, there is bondage. Where there is knower and known, seer and seen, observer and observed, there is bondage. Why? Because the seer will always be influenced by the seen. The knower will be influenced by the known. The experiencer will be influenced by the experienced. The subject will be influenced by the objects that it experiences. See? If this is the case, then what is the solution? In one simple line. If subject is in bondage because of the object, observer is in bondage because of the observed, then what is the solution? Remove the object, remove the observed, remove the known. Subject is always one, but the known, the experienced, the seen, the heard, the tasted, all these are changing all the time, isn't it? But the experience is always the one, I, isn't it? So he is getting bound as if trapped by all these different ones. The I is getting trapped by the mind, intellect, gross body, subtle body and causal body when it gets identified. Why it happens, what to do? We find ourselves like that. Now somehow we have to create an environment wherein we are able to separate ourselves from the world, from the objects. The gross body, subtle body, causal body is also an object. We have to separate ourselves from it. This is where the vasanas came in. So you develop positive vasanas, the good vasanas, the divine vasanas. The seer is bound by the influence of the seen and is liberated by the absence of the seen. Now you just close your eyes for a minute, for a few seconds, and see what is coming in front of your eyes. Okay, give me some feedback. There is nothing right and wrong. Tell me what came. Nothing came. Okay. So nothing was the bondage for her. Anyone else? Elephant. See, so for her, elephant was the bondage. So the subject was trapped by the elephant of the mind. The word for the mind is called elephant here in this scripture. For her, the I was trapped by the void. They were truthful. Now you find out in your own minds what was coming, and if you're thinking about it or giving even value to it, you are trapped by it. If you are given attention to anything that is coming in the mind, that very moment you have got trapped by that particular thought, that desire, that object, that picture, that sound, whatever it may be. We have to wean ourselves away from that. If there was no duality, if there was no seer and seen, there was no subject and object, then who will bind who? Then where will be the bondage? And for whom will be the bondage? If subject itself is not there, or if object is not there, because subject and object, they are complementary to each other, isn't it? If one is not there, the easy thing is to remove the object. The object. If the object is not there, then for whom will be the bondage? Because if you remove the object, the subject will also vanish. If you remove the wife, the husband will also vanish. If you remove the child, the father will also vanish. The person may be there, but that role will vanish. So this I is the individual, the role that I am playing, that I am holding on, I am this body alone. So if you have removed the objectivity completely, by creating a right environment, thinking in cultivating all those values that were told before, the I dissolves. If the I dissolves, then who is left behind? Then whatever is left behind is the truth. So relationship is possible only when there are two, not one. In the one there is no relationship possible. So if that, now think in this way, if that one alone has become Ishwara and Prakriti, that Ishwara is remaining the same in association with Prakriti, he creates the Hiranyagarbha, he creates the Virat, he creates the Jiva, and having created everything in this creation, he enters into it. Has he become many because he has entered into many? Has he become many? No. This is your truth. You have created, in your dream, you create the whole world of people, inert and conscious people. Having created, it's not a linear, it happens spontaneously, isn't it? In the dream. But everyone in the dream is alive. Is alive. But where are they existing? In your mind alone, isn't it? Where is the consciousness of each person in the dream coming from? It is borrowed from your consciousness. You, the consciousness alone, are expressing as all those various characters in the dream. All those. When we wake up, we realize that it was just a dream, it was a figment of imagination. Exactly the same thing is happening in this waking world also. Exactly the same thing. But here we feel that I am separate to you. In the dream also you felt, when you were a dreamer, you felt you were separate to all other people. But when the dreamer woke up and took the role of a waker, he sees back and says, zero value. Everything was a figment of imagination of my mind. Imagine, if you can, how much value are you giving to the dream? Zero value, isn't it? Similarly, great Mahatmas in the waking life have woken up from this waking dream. And when they look back, like you look back on the dream, they look back on this waking dream and they give zero value to it. They give zero value to it.
Could you just go through that little thing you went through before? Vashishta does this and then
Huh?
there's a jiva. Well, you said something Vashishta does something or other and then there's a jiva and then there's something else and he enters into the lot of it?
That is just a system of thinking. That one becomes the two becomes the three or four. That the Brahman becomes the Ishvara and Prakriti, and with the help of Ishvara, the Prakriti becomes Hiranyagarbha and the Virat, and then eventually all the names and forms in this creation are created, and then the Lord enters into it, or the Ishvara enters into it. That was what, but we don't want to go too much into it. Point is that it is the same one who is expressing through many. It is the same gold which is expressing through all the ornaments. It is the same water which is expressing through all the waves. It is the same consciousness which is expressing through all living beings. Come to recognize this not about Paramatma who is above the clouds. Come to recognize this about the consciousness that you essentially are. That you are. So you have to reverse the roles. Right now we are at the mercy of this creation. It is very difficult. It is very this, it is very that. So many excuses. So many excuses. And we have to start living, even though initially it might be difficult. Because you have to create a new track in your mind that I am the master of the world. And now start finding examples, reasons, events in your life, within your life, not in someone else's life, within your mind. Find out reasons to make this statement come true, that I am the master of life. And this is what the scriptures are helping us to do, to recognize that we are the masters. We are the masters of this world. Why only say the masters? We are the world. There is nothing master also than master and slave. There will be two. So they are trying to reverse our vision from that of bondage to that of recognizing that there was never a time in our life that we have ever been bound. In one Upanishad or somewhere it comes, I can't remember, or Panchadashi also it comes. Nothing in this world. Eyes do not hold on to anything. Continuously the pictures are changing in front of the eyes. The ears also don't hold on to one sound. Suppose the word was sound and you kept listening only sound. Is it possible? You won't be able to listen to the lecture otherwise. Tongue also doesn't get attached to one taste. It keeps tasting different things. Nose also doesn't get attached to any fragrance. It keeps changing. Breath also doesn't stay the same. It keeps changing. Mind also doesn't stay with one thought. It keeps changing. So, senses are not attached to their stimuli. Breath is not attached to in-breath or out-breath. Mind is not attached to any emotions or any thoughts or any concepts. From childhood till now they have kept on changing. And we feel that we are attached. How more foolish can we be? Nothing by logic we have seen, nothing can get attached. And yet you feel you are attached. This is the joke.
It's the emotions we...
Nothing. You cannot get attached to emotions also.
The emotions make you attached.
No.
No?
We are taking it very factually. The mind feels the emotions. If you feel angry, do you remain angry throughout your life? It changes to joy, to love, to happiness, to jealousy, to whatever. So emotions are throughout a day, so many emotions are changing. So many thoughts are changing. So you are not attached. But you feel that you are attached, isn't it? That is the problem. Now that is stupidity. So there is no data available to show that there is any attachment possible. And yet you feel that you are attached. This is the expression of ignorance. Get out of this. Don't stay. Look at the data and shoot out. And in this way, it is this duality which causes fear. And anything that we consider as separate to ourselves, then we have desire to gain it or we have a loss of losing it. Same thing is with this subject and object. The subject is in relation with the object, and he wants the objects to always remain with it, and any loss of that object creates fear in this subject. See? This is bondage. So on account of the objects is the fear. So it is this our own mental weakness which brings about this identification where there is no identification possible. See, in our Vedanta, it is told as superimposition. We superimpose it on the reality, and then with that superimposition, we get identified. We start imagining. And this imagination that we have created in our mind, there was nothing wrong. A boy was going and a girl was going. Suddenly he starts feeling, how would be life with her as my wife? And he starts thinking, imagining. Goes and tells his parent. The parents go and approach the girl, find out which the girl is, which is making our son spend sleepless nights. He has not met her yet. Only in the mind it is all going on. And then the parents go there, and then they give the proposal. Then the son and the girl are married. What a life without a wife, was the cry of the bachelor. Oh, what a life because of a wife, is the cry of the husband. Say the other way. If I was the woman, I would have talked in different way. You understand the spirit of in which I am talking. I am not saying it. So if we can free ourselves from these imaginary ideas that we cultivate. So that bachelor was absolutely fine before. But he imagined in his head how great it will be. I'll have a wife who will be very dutiful, who will take care of me, who will make breakfast, lunch and dinner. She'll keep my house clean and go to work also. And what I'll be? I'll be the king of the house. I'm the master of the family. I'm the master of the family. What a wonderful. Then we will have children, and when they grow up, they'll be like Ramchandra ji. They'll listen to the parents, they'll give their life for the parents. And then he gets married, the wife turns out to be opposite. The children grow up, they want to kill the father, not give their life for the father. So all the imagination, it was only imagination. How it is going to turn out, nobody knows. And this imagination is what is the bondage. Imagination is. So this thought that spirituality is difficult is an imagination. What is the data that you have? Tell me. No data. No, taking the name of the Lord, to think about the self is difficult. Show me the data. There has never been a time when you have not been the self. Where is the data? So it's only in your mind. Mind has become convinced that it is difficult, so it is the record is stuck in that groove. It is difficult, it is difficult, it is difficult, it is difficult. See? Get out of this imaginary thinking. For that, the exercise that I gave her, imaginary notions that keep popping up in the mind with no head and tail, they are called manorajya. chant elongated ohms with the outgoing breath. Or just, if that is difficult, just chant Om with the in-breath and the out-breath. Synchronize it to the exclusion of all other thoughts. And every day keep increasing the duration. And do it with full faith and full dedication. It will, stop this imaginary thinking. That's what the scriptures say, so it must be true. Until you try it, you will not find it out. So if this is the truth about the seen, what about the seer? Is he there or not? Is the knower there or not? Is the subject there or not? Jagatvamahamityadi mithyatma drishyamujyate yavadetat sambhavati tavan moksho na vidyate. The world, you, me, etc. constituting illusory entities is called the seen. There is no liberation as long as this illusion exists. Once, illusion we are talking about. Once there were three princes. Two were existing, one was non-existent. And they went to a river. They went to a village between three rivers. One was flowing with very little water and two were dry. In between those three rivers, there was a village which 80% were no huts and 20% were almost no huts. And out of those all huts, these three princes took the three big huts and started living in those huts. And when they were living there, they started what was the next step in that? This story comes in this Yoga Vashishta. And they started thinking about some lion in the dream. And in that dream, the three lions which they were imagining in their mind, they come to bite them or to attack them. And they woke up. And what did they find? That the whole dream that they were experiencing was only a imagination. It was not real. Same thing in the story of Gadhi. In this it comes in he sits and Gadhi. It came in Bhagavad also. Bhagavatam also it came.
Vishwamitra's father.
And this Gadhi, there I think the story is different, here it is different. But here he goes and he's sitting in his seat of meditation and suddenly he finds that he is in a village and he has got married to a girl and he is a king and he is going around in a jungle and he is thirsty and he has got no water and then he's just the horse has also died and is looking where he can get some food and suddenly he finds a tribal woman, demoness, who is carrying some carcass of meat and he says, please give it to me. She says, I will give it to you if you get married to me. Otherwise I will not give it to you. And like a dog after her, he goes because he is hungry. And when he goes to the village, he finds meat everywhere, blood everywhere, and the father with big teeth and everything, stench everywhere. And when the father looks what his daughter has brought, that this young, handsome prince, then he says, get married. He gets married, quickly he gets married and eats all the meat because he is hungry. Then he has children, and then the children grow up, and then one day a famine comes, and when the famine comes, he does not know what to do. And then as he is going around, he finds out that The people, they are saying that because this fellow came into our community, the famine has come. And they start, and everyone is going to different lands where there is plenty to eat and subsist on. And he is also trying to save his wife and children, and he is going, and on the way his wife dies. And after some time the son also dies, then the daughter is also dying. And while in this whole process, he says, what's the point of living this life if I can't even take care of my family? And he also dies. The moment he dies, his meditation breaks. The moment he dies, his meditation breaks. And he comes out, what was that? This happens to us also, don't worry. We sit in meditation, our eyes are closed, and we are in some reverie. And then we show to everyone that we are absolutely. But we have gone on a long trip and come back. In many lives, married, killed, murdered, realized, and then come back again. And then he started thinking, what was true? Is this life true or that life is true? And he asks the people around, is there a forest by this name somewhere close by? He says, yeah. He goes there. And while he goes there, he finds the village also of these tribals. He finds the father also. Oh my God. He says, did some prince come here and get married to your daughter? He says, yes. Yes. I hope they don't recognize me. And say, what happened to it? No, there was a big famine and then he went away and my daughter died and my grandchildren died and eventually this fellow also committed suicide. But then times have changed, now it has rained and people have come back to their village. He says, I have never seen this village, I have never met these people. I never met the father-in-law, and yet in my dream, in my meditation, it was an imagination only in the meditation, I went and experienced all this. It is possible. We think that everything is happening in a linear manner. There are no lines in past and future. It's all jumbled up. Only an expanded mind can experience all this. But we have to get out of this. The reason I am telling you all this is that everything is an illusion. But it's felt so real when you are in the dream. It seems so real when you are in the dream. So here he is saying the world, you, me, etc. constituting illusory entities is called the scene. There is no liberation as long as the illusion exists. We have to get rid of the illusion. Getting rid of the illusion is not like this. Getting rid of the illusion means not getting affected by the illusion, not getting entrapped by the illusion. We go on you have never been to Sahara Desert, but maybe you can go to what is the desert in Australia called? Simpson Desert. Go there, you will see a mirage, and if your water is finished, you will also run after water. Mirage waters to quench your thirst. But you will keep running. You will never be able to quench your thirst. Eventually, some time later, when you are exhausted, you will realize enough of running. These waters can never quench because they are existing in their own absence. Exactly the same way. We have to come to realize no more running anywhere in this world. Nothing can satisfy me. And the moment you say enough, that very moment, the illusion. Have you seen the Matrix? Some of you who have seen, you will see. The one moment he says enough, the matrix will start breaking down. That matrix is the mind. For some, there are three parts to matrix, isn't it? First part, second part, third part. It took three parts for the Neo to realize himself. He kept perfecting in every movie. He kept expanding his potentiality more and more and more. Because he kept giving up attachment to imagination, he kept accessing his self more and more. Got the glimpses, got the abilities. But that was not enough. Eventually he had to give up his abilities also, his siddhis also, his power also, his sense of being also he has to give up. And at that very moment, all the Mr. Smiths become of the nature of light. But till then, they were pursuing him. And that is what our case is. The mind will keep pursuing you. The thoughts will keep pursuing you. The imaginations will keep pursuing you. But you have to keep remaining undisturbed, fearlessly interacting with them.
I was going to ask, you're not saying that the world out there and everything else is all in my mind and I'm creating everything.
Of course you are.
I am.
You are.
How?
Just like in the dream you create.
You mean to say you were just...
All this, exactly. You created this situation so that your mind got this information so that it can correct itself.
You're not saying that all the illusion out there is in my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that out there is real, isn't it? I mean, we're all seeing the same thing. You know, he's playing with me.
No.
We can both see you.
Because you are still giving importance to name and form. You're still giving importance to name and form.
No, I'm just curious, because I figure the illusion comes in my head when I think all sorts of fantasies about what's out there, and now you're telling me it's
But
not
more,
out there.
now go beyond that. That even this whole world that you are experiencing is only an imagination of your mind. Just like the dream is an imagination of your mind. So when you are in the dream, you are absolutely experiencing the dream as real, isn't it? But when you wake up, how much value you give it to it? Nothing. Similarly, when you wake up from this, which is called realization, you will give zero value to this waking world. It will be like a dream for you. So what is the real then? If this is the seen, which is imaginary, which is illusory, then what is the seer? What is the I? What is the subject? It is that which cannot be negated. It is that which has never been non-existent. It has always been existent. The I, any one of us, we have no doubts with regards to this subject, that we are the subject. Object can change. Right now it is you, next moment it's her. One moment it is camera, one moment it is phone. One moment it is day, one moment it is night. One moment I am happy, one moment I am sad. One moment I think everything is clicking, next moment, oh, I am confused. Isn't it? This is with regards to the seen. Where there is seen, there is contradiction. Where there is seen, there is opposites. But with regards to the subject, is there any contradiction? Do you think I am not? Have anyone said that to themselves? Even though you are seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, thinking, ideating, conceptualizing, do you feel you have become many? Do you? No, you say, I am seeing, I am, everything I, isn't it? So there is no confusion there. So there are no contradictions in I. There are no opposites in I. In the scene there are opposites. In the world there are opposites. In the stimuli there are opposites. But in the I there are no opposites. There is no contradiction. Everyone knows they are the I. And this consciousness that I am, it can never be negated. Seen can be negated. Seen meaning whatever you experience, that can be negated, isn't it? I'm seeing you, I can negate you, I can see her. Then I negate her, I can see her. I see this room, I choose not to see this, I see the sky. I can negate this and move my attention. But can you negate yourself? No, I am not. How can you? Who said that? I said it. So you cannot get rid of this subject. It cannot be negated. Even if you go to sleep, you wake up and say, oh, I had a good sleep. But I was not there in the sleep. Then who came to know that you were sleeping? You cannot negate yourself. You were there, watching the mind sleep. See?
Swamiji, what about the body death? Does the I remain even after the death of the body?
I never dies. Subject cannot die. Subject can never die. Matter dies. Subject never changes. The object changes. So body is the object. Understand? Because I is not changing, body is changing. Childhood, teenage, youth, old age, then eventually death. Breath is changing. Emotions are changing. Concepts are changing. Ideas are changing. Thoughts are changing. So there is a death for a thought. There is a birth, maintenance and death of a concept, an idea, of an emotion. But who is the observer of that? The subject. Subject cannot be killed. Subject cannot be destroyed. Subject cannot be negated. Anything other than the subject which we are terming as object or as seen, S-E-E-N, it can be negated, it can be removed, it can be replaced, it can be changed. So the self cannot be changed. And in this way, the seen is the unreal and the seer is the real principle. Now find out who this seer is. What is the fate of this world? It is said, Yadidam drishyate sarvam jagat sthavara jangamam tat sushupta vivaswapnaha kalpante pravinashyati. This entire world, seen as movable and immovable, completely perishes at the end of a cycle of creation, just as a dream disappears in the sleep. So, every day it is happening. Out of when you wake up in the morning from deep sleep, the world comes into existence, the waking world comes into existence. It stays for few hours. Then slowly, the cognition of this waking world keeps decreasing. Then you go into sleep. Then there the dream world comes into existence. It stays for some time. Then that also goes away. Then deep sleep comes. Then that also comes and stays for some time. And deep sleep also goes away. And again waking comes. So here, everything in this world is continuously changing. It is creating, it is maintained, and it is destroyed or it is dissolving. And that is the nature of matter. That is the nature of the seen. That is the nature of the world. Whatever you see, whatever you can imagine, whatever, when we say the world, everything other than the conscious principle is the world. And in that, starting from thoughts till the grosses of the gross, everything is getting created, maintained and destroyed. And that is the truth about it. And and in this way, all the names and form manifest out of the unmanifest and then again become unmanifest. Into what does the world dissolve? What is the nature of the seer? The text says, Tatas timita gambhiram na tejo na samastatam anakyamana abhivyaktam sat kinchit avashishyate. He says, then there is then a still profound existence that remains nameless and unmanifest. It is neither light nor darkness. It is what remains when the world disappears? When all the names and forms disappear, then what remains? Before that, something else. Yes, we can say pure consciousness because we have studied that. When you get into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, what remains? When you go into sleep, what remains? When all the names and forms have become zero, what remains? Emptiness. Isn't it? It's vacant. But we feel there is something vacant. Actually, there is nothing vacant. It is pure consciousness. That is Chidabhas. That is emptiness full of consciousness. But somehow we have started thinking because of our habit of objectification that it is void, it is emptiness, it is nothingness. Why it is not nothingness? Why it is not non-existence? Why it is unmanifestation?
Because we experience it.
No. Why it is not void? When we say, what did you, in the deep sleep, what did you see? What did you experience? What is the answer? Nothing. Isn't it? And the scriptures say, out of the deep sleep state, which is the causal state, the dream state and the waking state erupt, come out. Isn't it? This is what they say. From the unmanifest state called deep sleep, the manifest state of waking and dream come. But that which is of the nature of nothing, N-O-T-H-I-N-G, how can something come out? It's a contradiction. Exactly. But this is our experience. Out of deep sleep, we suddenly become awake, and the whole world has come. So, it is not that this world has come out of nothing. It has come out of... It has not come out of something also. Now this is the trick. This is where we have to catch ourselves. So the world for us, I told you before, it appears as something and nothing. Waking dream is something and deep sleep is nothing. For our explanation, they say that waking and dream is coming out of the deep sleep state. The world, another language is used, that the whole world came out of ignorance, is an effect of ignorance. Ignorance is that which is not. How can that which is not, something can come out of that which is not there? So we are fooling ourselves. You are taking us into round and round in our mind. See, it cannot.
I reckon that the nothingness contains the potential, and this is the potential made manifest.
You can use all the words that you want. But the truth is, one without a second. Everything that there is nothing but that one truth. Just like in the cloud, in the sky, we can see a rainbow. Where is the rainbow existing? In its own absence. Isn't it? Mirage is existing in its own absence. The snake on the rope is existing in its own absence. The ornament is existing on the gold in its own absence. The wave is appearing on the water in its own absence. The sunrise and sunset is existing in its own absence. There is nothing like that. Yet it is our perception. Pardon me? As if. But that is our perception. See? Similarly, this entire creation is like that. Actually, there is only the self. Actually, there is only the self, pure consciousness. On that pure consciousness, just like we imagine the crease, we are imagining the various names and forms. Cloth here has got no name and form. The moment it has a crease, it has a form, it has a sharpness, it has a razor edge, it has a beginning and it has an end, a crease. But essentially it is cloth. Exactly the same thing. Everything is pure consciousness. All the names and forms are imaginations over it. See? And why have these imaginations come? Because of our obsession with our mind. Stop thinking about the mind and the mind thinking about the world. Instead, make the mind think about the conscious principle. Somewhere along the journey, everything will sort itself out. See? So in this way, this seer, everyone is, but they feel that they don't know it. There is nothing opposite to this seer, this subject. It has got no opposite. It is one without a second. Seen has an opposite, but seer has got no opposite, or the eye has got no opposite. So, there is then a still profound existence that remains nameless and unmanifest. It is neither light nor darkness. Light and darkness are two opposites. Where they appear? In the mind. This in Amrit Anubhav, Jnaneshwar Maharaj gives this beautiful example. He says, from the sun's point of view, there is nothing called light and there is nothing called dark. On the earth, there is day and there is night. And you say to the Om Bhuvasva Tatsavitur, thank you for rising, thank you for removing the darkness, now we can do our daily duties and everything. If sun could hear, he'll say, what is daylight? I don't know. What is that I have removed, did you say? Darkness. What is darkness? I don't know. Why don't you know, sir? I don't know. He is of the nature of light. When you are of the nature of light, you don't recognize that you are light. You are that. The one light which we are talking about, light and dark, this is the relative light which is appearing in contradiction to darkness. See? So similar is the case here, that this self is self-knowing. It is the knower of both knowledge and ignorance. It is the knower of light and dark. It is the knower or the witness of all the contradictions. And in this way, we come to the 6th verse, but I think we should stop here, take a tea break, and then come back to complete this chapter. We are on the 6th verse. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. In 20 minutes we come back. 4:30 we come back. So we have 1 hour class.